Right, okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I bid to all my students. So we go straight into the chapter 4, which is about the engineering materials. Right, so I will make a very short introduction on the chapter 4 on the engineering materials, which the time consumed is around 10 hours. But this video should be covers around 1 hour, right? But then it's not 1 hour videos, it's just around 10 to 15 minutes videos. Alright, possibly I will make a video around part 1 or part 2. First we go straight into the content, which is 4.1 classification of engineering materials, plastic and elastometer. 4.3 ceramic structure properties and application, and the last one which is composite materials. Right, so this is the main subchapter in the chapter 4. For this video we go straight into the 4.1 classification of engineering materials. Right, in engineering materials we may divide into three main materials, which is the metal, ceramic and polymer. So this is the main materials that exist in this world. Alright, so this is the example you could see in here in terms of the metal, ceramic and polymer. Right, into the relationship between the properties, structure and processing. So it's almost like a cycle, right? Loop cycle to be exact, right, in terms of properties, processing and structure. So how we are going to explain it, we go into the next subchapter later on. Alright, first we go straight into the classification of engineering materials, which is for the metals. Family objects that are made of metal and metal alloys. If you see from the left to right, we have silverware, fork and knife, scissors, coin, a gear, a wedding ring, and then the last one, a nut and bolt. So there are so many other things that are made from the metals. So this is among the example. Right, metals can be further classified as ferrous and non-ferrous. So this one we already covered from the previous chapter. Alright, in the chapter 2 I think, which is we go into the study on the ferrous and non-ferrous metal. So under the ferrous we have steel and cast iron, and then non-ferrous you may refer into the previous subchapter in the chapter 2 and chapter 3. Right, so this is the general. And then on the second part, which is on the polymer, right? So the polymer, this is the several common objects that are made of polymer materials. So example here, which is plastic tableware, spoon, fork and knife, billiard balls, a bicycle helmet, two dice, a lawnmower, wheel. So this is more the example of the materials that made from the polymer. So under the polymer also we can divide into further classification, which is thermoplastic, thermosets, and then the last one, which is elastometers. Right, so this is the example under the thermoplastic: acrylics, nylons, PVC, polyethylene. Thermoset, the very famous one, which is epoxy-resin, phenolic, polyester. Elastometer, rubber, silicone and polyurethanes. So sometimes polyurethane also classification under thermoset also. Right, so the last one, which is on the ceramics. So this is the common object that are made of the ceramic material, which is scissors, a china teacup, a building brick, a floor tiles, and then the last one is glass vase. So this is more. There are so many other example on the polymer and ceramics. Right, so ceramic are compound of metallic and non-metallic element. So example including the oxides, alumina, insulation and abrasive, zirconia, which is used for the dyes for the metal extrusion, and abrasive. Okay, so let's say if you are going for the process of extrusion, so that's why we use ceramics for the dyes, and then carbide and nitrates. So this is the example, right? And then metal and non-metal use in automobiles. Okay, so this is some of the example, the material that we use among the metal, polymer and ceramics. So many application that can be used in the car, in the automotive industry to be exactly. Right, why we are using car as example, because it is very close to ourselves. Okay, so we are very need to use the car, and everyone will be dream to have a car. Alright, so this is another example. So you may read on this slide here, right? So aside from the watching my videos, you may also look into your slides. Okay, so you may refer into this, which is the application on the steel, aluminum wheel, plastic windshield, copper wiring, ceramic spark plug. Alright, so this is among the example that use on the materials in terms of metal, ceramic and polymer. So I've already explained previously, so why we are using car as example. So like I mentioned, which is it is very close to ourselves. Okay, so clear on this part. And then on the next slide here, okay, you may refer, which is another classification of engineering materials. So like the use of the metals on the aviation industry. Right, so this is among the example, not very close to us, but then we are very entitled to the aviation also. Right, so you must understand that why the usage of the materials used on the application on the aviation. Right, so among the another example, which is on the electronic and electrical parts. So the material used is depends on the application. Okay, also example on the civil and structural for the KLCC, for example. And that's it. I think that's clear on the 4.1. And then this is the outcome for the 4.2, which is plastic and elastometers. Right, so on this part we'll go into the next videos. Alright, or we will go through into the next class. I think that's clear on the 4.1, which is a very simple subchapter on the chapter 4. Right, so it's basic introduction on the material engineering materials. So you must remember there are three main things, which is metal, polymer and ceramic. Okay, for clear explanation also, we will go into a little bit overview on the 4.1, which is this video is very short, I think less than 10 minutes. So this is just overview on the 4.1, which is we will divide into three parts: metal, ceramic and polymer. So we already go through into the example, including the figures on the metals application, ceramic, and then on the polymer. Right, so you must identify which metal is ferrous and then which metal is non-ferrous. Alright, that thing that should be clear on the 4.1. And then 4.2, like I mentioned previously, either I will make a next video ataupun we'll go into the next class on the Google Meet. Alright, thank you.